Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to today's multi-social network stream. We're live on yet another live stream. It's just amazing what our producers are doing to bring you this content. So welcome today. I'm Rick Vanover here at Veeam, and I'm based in Central Ohio, but we want to know where you're from. One of the things that we love to do here on the social streams is what I call the Mapplication. So in the chat, whatever network you're on, drop in your country or your US state, and we're going to build this map. It's not very green right now, but we're going to work on that. So just let us know where you're from. We'll give you a shout out and try to light the map up. All right, cool. So welcome again, everyone. The topic today is 3 things you don't know about your data. Now, this is a really compelling topic. I want to introduce a panel that we have here today. So we've got myself, and I want to actually introduce a new secret weapon on the product strategy team. So Aaron, am I right? This is your first successful LinkedIn Live and multi-social stream. Is that right?
It is. I've been looking forward to getting on the LinkedIn Live since joining Veeam. I've been watching all your events and thinking I've got to get some of that.
No. So Aaron joined late last year on the product strategy team. Really smart guy, and we're talking about data. What you don't know about your data, and so I've been talking about data for years. But then I talked to this guy, and I don't know anything about my data. So, anyways, Aaron, you brought along some partners of Veeam, Dan and Brad. You guys want to do a quick intro, real quick?
Sure, Rick. Happy to. Brad Tips, folks. I'm Senior Director of Alliances at Data Dynamics. Happy to be here and super proud of our partnership here with Veeam.
Hey, Rick, I'm Dan. I'm Dan Boggs, the Solutions Lead here at Data Dynamics, pretty much covering everything from an EMEA region, but obviously reaching out from our global customer scale set. So yeah, happy to be here. Happy to talk to you. Yeah,
cool. So they're both from Data Dynamics, but they're really my goal when we were prepping for this. I'm like, guys, what is going to be that aha moment? So they think we can come up with 3 things about the data that we want to talk about. So, Aaron, sound good to go ahead and jump into the presentation?
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. So, set the stage. What are we here to talk about here, Aaron?
So, I wanted to showcase, Data Dynamics as a Veeam partner because I was really impressed with what they can tell you about your data. And it's not just data that's on your live systems, it's data that can exist in your Veeam backup. So using the Veeam Instant technology and Data Dynamics together. So there's a lot of things. There's even more than 3 that they can tell you about it. But, off the top of their head, it's what's redundant and what is obsolete, what's valuable, what's at risk. And we're going to talk about the outcomes that can be achieved if you manage that appropriately today. And I'm going to show an example that I did. I did it on my own in a lab in the public cloud, but then we're going to have a demonstration from Dan who's going to show you how to use the software to drive that understanding and glean your own 3 things. And then we're going to show you how to get started on your own with your own data.
All right. Well, I guess let's jump into it. So
yeah, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Data Dynamics. I said I'll do it myself because I've been doing data management, not just backup, disaster recovery, and all those kind of things for 25 years. I've been looking at the kind of management and usage and security of data, and I was really impressed with Data Dynamics. And because I was considering how to manage data and how to achieve a better outcome in a go-forward state. And what I really like about Data Dynamics is they've got the complete picture. They don't just give you the ability to analyze the data for what's redundant, obsolete, valuable, or risk data, but you have all the tools to carefully plan and execute, very controlled, very resilient, and working migration to whatever outcome you want, usually to a public or private cloud. And the migrations and archives also can be transformative, so they can help you do file to file or file to object in that. And so you can really get the desired outcomes that you're going for. So I thought it'd be really good because I know there's Veeam customers are looking to look at their environments, and they're looking to do migrations, and they're looking to kind of improve their environments and improve their operational resiliency. And I thought it would be a really good thing to showcase. So let's look at some of the reasons why, Rick, on the next slide, according to Gartner. And we often go to Gartner, and they've basically got some really good data sets. And it's crazy that they say well, first they say 80% of your organization's data could be unstructured. But then they say, and if you look to the foot of this slide, data that is rot in the terminology here is redundant, obsolete, and trivial, i.e. you don't really need it. And they're saying it's up to 85% of that data. And most of us are managing that data, we're carrying it on, we're keeping it on primary storage, we're growing it year on year, and we never do anything about it because maybe it's not worth it, maybe it's too difficult. And that's kind of a real problem. But I guarantee if you took that rot data and you archived it, no one would ever access it again, or they'd access it very infrequently. I think you had a term for that, Rick. Write once or something.
Write once, read never, but never say never. Burn. I'm working on the acronym for it. But yeah.
Yeah, so, and more importantly, I think if you roll that forward and say, I'm paying for it and I'm managing it, I'm doing all these things and no one needs it, right? But if I can put it into an archive and give them access to it, if they do need it, like once in a blue moon, fine. But when I manage my environment better, that puts me in a better state for things like managing the data go forward. I'm going to save money. The data footprint is smaller. I can make more immutable copies of it. When there's a disaster and you're waiting for things to get back, I guarantee you they're not waiting for that 85% of data that they haven't touched in 2 years. They're waiting for the data that they last used a week ago, right? So now that data is coming back faster. So, you know, in the event of a disaster, whether that's all the different reasons, including ransomware, if you've managed your environment better, you're going to have a better outcome. And I looked at this and I thought, rot, it's the same letters as RTO, right? And if you just take that and said 85%, a little aggressive, if we went for 60% and you reduce your rot data by 60%, you've actually improved your RTO by 250%. So that's a real operational outcome that, you know, I'd like to have.
Well, yeah, Aaron, I'd say even if these numbers are half right, it's still rather significant and important when RTO meets ROT, right? I think this is definitely worth assessing. I think of the data set I know the most, these numbers are right on par. In fact, maybe even I might have more rot than this.
Yeah, no, thanks, but yeah, I've seen some crazy things, and I think Dan will show some in the demo later. But I've seen customers with like hundreds of terabytes of installers for like popular tools that, you know, to read PDF files and stuff like that. Crazy stuff. So I baked one earlier. I wanted to be able to speak from a position of knowledge and experience, and I did it only on 100 gig of data because I had to have something that was workable, but it's not an issue because both Veeam backup and replication and data dynamics scale to terabytes, hundreds of terabytes, petabytes. So, you know, it would just scale up, right? And we're very shortly going to demonstrate, you know, how I achieve my use case on a live demo. And what I did is I did an instant restore. I collected the data. I decided my policy for like what is archivable. Should be anything that hasn't been opened or touched by anybody in the last 2 years, right? And I did that analysis, and it came up to 74%. And then I used the tools and I talked earlier about how good the tools are to do the management and get to the outcome. And I took the old data and I archived it from file to object in Azure Blob Storage. And I took the file and moved it file to file into the file storage. And it was ridiculously fast and really simple. And now I've got my file environment into this new, in this case, public cloud. And it was really easy to achieve, but there was some really good outcomes, I thought, in terms of maybe the cost and what does it look like once I've got it into this new world environment. So I put just a couple of numbers together on the next slide, and then we'll get into the demo.
Well, before we get into the next slide, producers just let me know that the application is ready. So let's take a look. Oh, wow, we've got Australia live at like, I don't even want to think what time in the morning it is. So welcome. We've got India. We've got Texas. We've got a couple of U.S. states. We've got, let's see, Illinois, Ohio, Georgia, California. We got both ends of the Pacific Ocean today. I really like this. So thank you. And again, if you haven't already, let us know where you're from in the chat. We'll light it up. We've got Ireland there to complete the channel up there. We've got let's see, that would be Netherlands. I'm using my math. I think that's Nigeria. Going to quiz me later. I think that's Pakistan and in India. Again, great representation. Let's get some more. Let us know where you're from and we'll light it up. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. Well, let's take a look at this result. Make sense of this for me.
I'm just excited. I wanted to be part of that application. I wanted to see that. So happy to be here. So I took this. These were the figures from. This is one of the graphics out of you'll see in the demo from Data Dynamics StorageX, and the other two graphics from the Azure. Right. So this was the data that I put up there, and then I give you the prices for the two kind of storage elements. And I didn't want to go into the full mass of like all the different copies I might make and all the things I might do. But if I just imagine this as 100 terabytes and said that 75 terabytes or 76,800 gigabytes, saving 15 cents a month. It's a big number, right? For data that I've written it once and no one's ever going to read again. Now, with the solutions you'll see in the demo, you can go and back and read it. You can actually search for it in a website. So it's not lost. So it makes it nice and easy for customers to get there. But imagine what you could do with cost savings like that. And that's just on one copy of the data. What could you invest in? And what we at Veeam think people should invest in is the right number of copies of the data, the copies of the data on immutable storage. They should invest in automatic DR testing and restore testing and documentation, and get themselves into a much better position in terms of operation resiliency. And this can be enabled by spending a little bit of money and some time on managing that data appropriately and making such great cost savings that you can reinvest it. And that's why I got really excited about this solution. I just kept thinking about the potential outcomes.
Well, that's really interesting here, Aaron. And my thought here is on scale. And, I am by no means a cloud economic modeler or even an on-prem storage modeler, right? Just wherever your data is. If you're grossly overspending, you could potentially, like you said, be taken away from the more important things like resiliency, 3-2-1 rule, ransomware recovery, and those might be barriers on this much data, which so much of it potentially being raw. That's really interesting. So, okay, you got me with a screenshot, but kind of so what? You've told me what, but now my question back to you is so what? So how can we do more with that?
Yeah, well, I think the only way is to let's see it. Let's see Dan in action with a.
Cool. So what we'll do now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to let Dan prepare the demo. Dan, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. I am going to hold the share here and stop it, and we are going to switch on the fly. This is interesting for the audience. We truly do this live, and with multiple feeds. Dan's on another hemisphere. Aaron's in New Jersey. Don't let the accent fool you. South Jersey. And we're going to get this loaded up here momentarily. Here, let's see what we get. One question I have here, by the way, and I want to bait everybody to the end of the show here is, when we show you this example, we've got some links, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, that we're going to let people have some access to, is it a trial or a free edition? Is that what we're going to have here in a bit?
Absolutely. So at the end, after I've finished the demonstration, you're gonna have a slide where we're gonna be able to offer a freemium offer as well. So we'll get to that once once I've gone through the demonstration and showcase to you guys. I guess the simplicity and the use of being able to completely optimize and look after your infrastructure and make that the best use of it. So I'm guessing everything's good. We can we'll go ahead and walk you guys through this and just show you, as I say, the simplicity of it. So what you guys can see right in front of you is this is the StorageX management portal, okay? And what this gives us the ability to do is this gives us the ability to drive that full optimization piece that Aaron was slightly touching on earlier on. Whether it be a local deployment or whether it be a deployment in the cloud, for example, you've got that ability to drive all of that from right in here in this management portal. So just to showcase to you something that Aaron went through, the first thing we need to go through and do is we need to go and create our data discovery sets, okay? And by doing this, what I'm talking about is we're going to go and ingest all of that metadata, okay? So just to showcase to you guys, I mean, I've got a couple of discoveries that I've already pre-done here. So you can see I've got a NetApp, I've got a Veeam, I've got a Windows, etc. But just to showcase to you just some of the actual, I guess, interesting parts of this when we do it. So, you know, we can split this up depending on the use case of what the requirement might be in different organizations. But I select my storage resources. I go through, I specify my path that I want to scan, you know, whether it be CIF shares or NFS exports, etc. I go through and select my options. But one of the great things that we've got the ability to do is we've got the ability to add custom tags, okay, tag names and tag values. What that then does is that really helps us in driving that, I guess, utilization across however we want to view it. How many customers do we speak to that are, you know, spread all over the globe, okay? And they've got systems, you know, they've got departments running. You know, my previous experience was working for one of the world's largest financials, and you know, utilizing something like this to be able to have that single data set view of what we had was huge, right? And being able to break that view up. So we go and we ingest that data set. So once I've done that, I can see roughly how long that took to, you know, I can see the start time and the end time. I can see how many files was actually scanned as part of that. I can see how many we've scanned in and the actual size of that. So once that's complete, the next thing we need to then go and do is look at the analysis of that data, okay? And as you can see, I've got a few that are baked in here already, but Aaron touched on a couple of points. There are really three key areas, and the three key areas are being rot data, where we talk about redundant, obsolete, or trivial. We talk about things like cold or stale data and hot data, okay? Because that's really the view of, you know, how much of my data is really needed today, how much is utilized in a live, you know, environment, and how much of that data is stale or you know, not being accessed for periods of time. So just to showcase to you, the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to have a look at all of our data, just all in a single view. So you can see I've got all my data sets created here. And if I scroll down, what I've got is I've got the report types. And this is the top sort of 9 report types that we see brings the most values within any organization. The first one being the activity analysis. So as you can see, we've got a great view here that shows me of when my data was last accessed and how big that data set was at that time. So the blue line represents the file count of when they were last accessed. The green bars being the file consumption, okay? So in any user environment, this is the first thing they're gonna want to look at because this is showing them how hot and how cold their real data is. We've got some other metrics and attributes within here. So you've got your modification analysis. Looks very similar, but this is showing you when the files were last actually modified. And as we go through them, we've got size of the files, age of the files. But another great one that we showcase is type analysis. And what you can see in here is the top 10 file types. The outer ring of this shows you the file type per file count, okay? So if I've got 10 Word docs, for example, just as around 100 or 100,000, that potentially would showcase in here if it is in my top 10. Inner part of this ring will show me the storage consumption per file type. How many customers do we know that utilize things like temporary files? They create them, they use them for testing purposes, and they never get rid of them. They're only meant to be there for a temporary amount of time. This gives us the ability to showcase that to customers and show you what they've got within their environment. And then finally, just one more thing just to show you guys is top consumer analysis. And within here, you can see the top consumption by user, okay? So if I show you this slash, and as that's represented there, you can actually see that actually represents orphan data. And what I mean by that is where the file no longer has any ownership on it. By that could be for multiple reasons. We find in most organizations, it's due to people that have left the organization and their data has not been removed.
So I have a question on that, Dan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and I see that organizations have different ways of managing leavers from the organization. I've seen some just remove the user and they become a slash like that. Like there's no ownership, there's just a number. Others leave the user name, but then move them into an OU group called leavers or something. And others just rename the user to like not active in capital letters. Are you flexible enough to deal with it in all of those scenarios, or any new ones that might pop up?
Absolutely, Aaron, absolutely. And it's a great question, okay? Because, I've showcased to you just all that data, but the other thing that we've got the ability to do, and if I just scroll back up here, is when we create these analysis sets, what we've got the ability to do is we've got the ability to do them with tagging, with queries, should I say, looking at, the different tags. But just to show you in here, obviously, you can see that we've got these different queries when we're looking for data sets. So you say, if the file's no longer owned, or if it's been renamed to a different ownership within AD, etc., we can actually, if you look in this actual metrics of the attributes here, we can do searches dependent upon that. So if there is the owner that has been updated to add in a specific name, we can search for that and put a contain name around that. So giving you that full flexibility of being able to search for that data type, we're able to drive that all from within here, within the actual management portal itself. Does that answer your question, Aaron?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I guess once we've made some decisions, it's all onto like driving an archive or something like that.
Exactly. So just showcasing here, we've got things like, as I said to you before, we've got temporary files, we've got hot and cold data, and we've got things like orphan data. Orphan data that's not been accessed in over 2 years, typically on industry standard tells us there is less than a 5% chance that that data will ever be accessed again. So just to show you here, I've got 508 files that are actually orphan files that have not been accessed in over 2 years. My next step of what I want to do with that is drive that whole optimization piece. Now, if I just go into my archive in here, what I've got the ability to do, and again, one that I've actually created an archiving policy directly from within StorageX to move all of them orphan files that I've just found. And just to showcase to you, I ran this successfully, and you can see here, number of files that have been archived, 508. So when we create this, again, we've got the ability to add, should I say, the different metrics around it. So we can specify the object storage or the blob storage that we want this to go to. We select the container that we're wanting to move that data set to. The great thing about the analysis sets is when we create that is where we pull in that data into here. So baking that in the analysis sets first, creating that is where we drive that in.
Yeah, so that's what I did then. I analyzed it all from a Veeam instant restore, but I only had, when I came to do the migration, I just flipped the pointer to the live data and then made the migration. It was perfect.
Absolutely. So that data is now archived. That data is now moved off onto a cheaper cost of storage platform. Okay, let's take it to the next step. Let's pretend I'm the user now and my data has actually been moved off. Okay, how can I go about looking for that actual data set? There's multiple ways, and everything that you're seeing here, what I'm showcasing to you guys now is all available via RESTful API. And you've got multiple ways of being able to create that. But one great thing that we've got is we've got our actual retrieval portal. And if I just quickly log in here, and I'll show you what that actually looks like to be able to go and actually restore that data. Just bear with me 1 second. So I've had my files archived. Now I want to go ahead and look for my actual files. Easiest way, just real quickly, if I just press search for my files, okay, I've got my file sets that are all down below here. I can see the file name. I can see the resource of where that was actually taken from. I can also see the endpoint and the bucket that was actually archived to. I get the time of when it was done. So all of my actual files that have been moved over onto object, I can see that.
And is this is just the file metadata, or is the content as well done?
This is the file metadata and the actual file itself that has been moved over onto that object.
So like my scenario is the stuff's been archived. We talked about write once, read never, but never say never. And then I go, oh, I once did this amazing piece of work with some great analysis 4 years ago, and I only remember there's a couple of words in it, and I don't know where it used to be because that resource is gone, right? But I can just come in here, search for the keywords, find my file, and I'm off to the races, right? Is that how it works?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Perfect. And then I specify my files, so I choose my files. I can then specify my location, where I want that file restored to, who I want the ownership to be, and the notificational email address of who I want to be notified once that file has completed the restore. And that really is, an easy demo just of how quickly and how easy it is to go ahead and actually optimize your estate.
Right. No, that's brilliant.
I hope you found that useful.
Yeah, that was amazing. A couple of things caught my eye there, Dan. I really like the idea of tagging across the different data sources. That's actually really powerful. That's something I've been struggling with for a lot of years, and it looks like you're making it easy. We did have one question from Adi. Adi says, how will you transfer us the link for the trial? So we brought it up, and it's got some interest for it. So we do have some links on the last slide here. Adi, stay tuned here. We will get you to that in just a second. I do think the application is ready-ish. Yeah, let's take a look and transition back to application. Oh, we've got Brazil. We've got, let's see, Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. We've got Colorado. I know a guy out there. Nevada, I'll be there next week. New York, New Jersey. Nice looking stuff. And then over in Europe, not representing, just one more, Netherlands, to pair up with Belgium. And then let's see, we've still got Romania. One of our producers are joining there. Appreciate that this evening. Israel added, Jordan up there, up top, up over. So both of you, welcome as well. A couple more in Africa. And then, oh, wow, Malaysia and Indonesia here tonight. Wow, appreciate that, everybody. Especially if those of you joining in the bizarre hours, there's nothing finer to watch at this time than LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, whatever media you're doing here. We really appreciate you sharing where you're from. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate that. All right, so let's see. Let's go back to, we're going to go back to the presentation in just a moment here. Let me see. This is interesting. We haven't done it this way. We're one to share, to the other, to back, Europe. Here we are. Anyways. So kind of right where we left off here, let's kind of talk about how do we get started. So Aaron,
I want to call out for this one because this is how I did it. So my end goal was to get all my data into Azure Blob and Azure Files. So I thought, why not put the Data Dynamics StorageX in there, and then in my future state, I can back everything up with Veeam, and I'm happy, right? I'm a happy camper because I've got everything protected. So it's in the marketplace. You just come on, do a search. You get after you got the trial license from these guys, with a couple of minutes after filling in some basics, you're on the console. There's a one-click silent install, so it's that easy. So
well, that's that. I mean, so yeah, I've done marketplace. That's pretty easy. So this is it. Bring your own license, and then you've got an Azure VM that runs that as a marketplace appliance. It's easy peasy.
It's easy peasy.
All right. Well, so Brad, Dan, tell us really how we can, take the audiences here to do more with this.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Rick. We have a global audience, so we also have a global offer, actually 2 offers. So we're super excited from Data Dynamics to offer a free 10 terabyte capacity license for StorageX, which is what you saw today. So what better way to take that demo and actually put it to work in your own environment? And so this is a super easy way to do it. Click on the link, take this link and provide a simple registration form, and we'll get you started. We're encouraging you to get that in as soon as possible. We're targeting the first 25 customers, but we will work with you, right? So we're looking for a great response. And then certainly on Veeam, we've got a super free 30-day trial of their latest version 11 Enterprise Plus software. So together, you'll be able to scan the Veeam backups, using Data Dynamics software. And we're looking forward to helping you optimize that, that data state and moving it to where you best want to move it.
Well, that's good stuff. One thing I'll add here is I just picked up these links, and I've asked the producers if they could to drop these into the feeds they already did. I'm trying to think, and they beat me to it.
You're a master of ceremonies, Rick.
I'm just a pretty face. What can I say? Awesome, good stuff. All right. Well, hey, so Aaron, what's the takeaway?
Well, look, the there's lots of ways. I mean, you can talk to, but certainly I'm going to be working with the Data Dynamics guys, so you can contact them via the links on here or myself, and I'm going to help you. And any one of us, we all know each other. We're going to help you get started and get sweat your Veeam assets if you already have it. If not, if you're planning a migration to the cloud, we're going to help you do all that migration in an efficient way and have it all protected and recoverable.
Outstanding. Well, hey, a couple other things. Monday I'll be back. I mean, goodness, I'm going to be back with Dave Russell and Mark Daymeyer from Nutanix. We're going to talk about some new things brewing over there. Wednesday, by the way, very first one. By the way, we're going to do something new. I love doing this. We're going to do a live from. We got a new type of live stream across the socials. We're going to try something new. Bear with us. Stay tuned. It's going to be live from HIMSS, from the Healthcare Information Management Systems Society. I think I got all of those acronyms right, out in Las Vegas. And then Friday, we'll jump back over into the next technical session as well. And I'm not going to ignore Egypt and South Africa. Thank you both for joining. I appreciate that. So, hey, Aaron, thank you so much for driving this conversation here today.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, Brad, thank you for that generous offer. That's like super legit. Really appreciate that. And Dan Box, you dropped in some Zoom it. I'm very proud of you for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Awesome. All right. Well, on behalf of our producers in Atlanta and over in the EMEA Center in Romania, on behalf of the Veeam Product Strategy team, Aaron and I, and the global teams that brought this to you, really appreciate everyone tuning in here today. And you can watch the replays on YouTube. There you live ever after there. And that concludes today's broadcast. Have a great weekend, everyone.